What's up, everybody? Welcome back to a new video. Hopefully still going strong with the monthly uploads. I'm filming this like a month ahead from when this video is actually releasing, so who knows? But we're back with another tier list video. I'm joined here with my brother. Introduce yourself.
Who, me? Who am I?
Yeah, this is Vero Camps.
Oh.
He's pretty much my tier list guy. Like, whenever we do a tier list, I'm doing it with him. I think I've done the most tier lists with you anyway, so...
Yeah, I haven't been in all of them. I've been in, what, at least 3? Rammstein, Iron Maiden, and Cannibal Corpse.
Yep.
So this would be number 4.
This would be number 4.
How many are there? 6 so far?
Demon Hunter, Cannibal Corpse, Iron Maiden, Rammstein, Opeth. What we're doing today, if you can't tell because of... I don't know why you clicked on this video if you don't know what the video is about. We're doing Death tier lists, you know. He's got the shirt, got some CDs in the back. What are you doing?
This is 7. I think you maybe forgot Dream Theater?
I did forget Dream Theater.
Yeah. I'm just sitting here like, no, wait. my mind would not stop until I figured it out.
Cut. Okay, restart.
Cut. Restart. Leave it.
Welcome to a new video. Attempt number 2, doing Death. This is one of my favorite bands. We are doing Death studio albums. I literally had to make this because literally the only other Death studio album I literally discovered this like this year or last year. But Chuck Shordino actually did a side project with some other musicians called Control Denied, which is a little more on the prog side a little bit, but it's really good. But they had that in the tier list, so I'm just like, no, we're doing Death. So, we're going in order of release. We got S, A, B, C, and D. We're probably only going to use S.
No F tier? This is like the worst band ever. Like, we need an F tier. They're all going to be an F, obviously.
Okay, so the first tab is mine. Second tab's Vero Camps. Starting the tier list off with Scream Bloody Gore, their debut album. This is a pretty solid album. It's a classic. It just sounds like how death metal was back in the day, where they had kind of like some like thrash elements and stuff. Debut album of one of my favorite bands, so I obviously like it a lot. However, in comparison to the rest of their discography, me personally, I'm gonna go a very strong B tier. It's honestly one of the best B tiers ever. I'm just thinking, in comparison to their discography, I think it's in the B tier. It does kind of fall in my least favorite. Not saying that's a bad thing. I still love the album. This is Death we're talking about here. I really, really enjoy this album. Really solid cover art too. I want a t-shirt of this. Debut albums are really hard for me to properly rank because a part of me like loves it. So yeah, debut album in B tier for me. Iron Maiden still holds the crown for the only S tier debut.
I love this album. It is that era, kind of where like extreme metals and stuff start. They come from thrash, so it is still very thrashy. Same with like when black metal was starting, it was very thrashy. Same with this one, it's still very thrashy, but still very much like the beginning of death metal, you know.
We kind of touched on this in the Cannibal Corpse. Like
yeah.
late 80s, early 90s was still very like, you can kind of tell that these bands were pushing the thrash metal genre.
Yeah.
A bit, so it's kind of in that development. So
right. This is the Death album that I have returned to the most to listen to again. So I absolutely adore Scream Bloody Gore. For me, it is an S tier. It is an S tier debut for me.
All right, really solid album. It is, in a lot of ways, very similar to the next one, Leprosy, in terms of like the music and stuff, where it's like it's still in the early stages of, you know, death metal. This is Chuck Shordino getting a little more into his signature sound, if that makes sense, I guess. I really, really love Leprosy. I feel like a lot of fans would put this in S tier. I'm maybe a little more critical. I'm gonna put it in A tier, but it's still very high. It is about as classic death metal as classic death metal can get. Cover art's great. It's just a really great death metal album. This is cited as one of the most important death metal albums out there. It is fantastic. Still holds up today. Yeah, I really like Leprosy. It is really hard for me to talk about anything because I have not listened to this band in like a week.
I also really love Leprosy. Oh yeah, should we show this off a little bit? But like, look at it.
I need more death.
Like, that is beautiful. Still similar to Scream Bloody Gore, but not quite exactly the same, I guess, level of like 80s thrash feeling. It's not quite the same there. It is probably the death album I have gone back to the second most. And like when you said about it being like one of the most important death metal albums, like even before I really listened to death metal at all or had ever listened to death, I knew that cover well. I had seen it everywhere,
So
whether
did I.
it was Guitar World magazines
So did
or
I.
patches on battle jackets, whatever it was, like we had seen that album more than any other death album covered. I also am going to be that one that he mentioned that most death fans would put it in S tier. It's going in S tier for me.
Okay.
It is a classic.
Now I'm starting to feel like a non-death fan.
They're not all going in S tier. Okay, we're not getting a repeat of the Rammstein.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, I do feel like those first two albums are kind of like, despite them still being very great albums, they're very strong, important albums. But like the death I know is coming out. Spiritual Healing. This was probably the album I knew the least about. Back when I discovered Death, I was, getting into their discography and stuff. And I'd go back and listen to a lot of stuff here and there. But, like, the albums that I went back regularly throughout the years and listened to was, like, Leprosy, Symbolic, Sound of Perseverance. Give or take, that was mostly it. So, coming back to these other ones, listening to Spiritual Healing again, opened my eyes to the greatness of it. This is Death going all the way straight up into S tier. I absolutely love this album. I've had some albums like this in certain bands. An example of is Matter of Life and Death with Iron Maiden, where it's like I knew the album. I've listened to the album back in the day, like 5 so years ago. Just recently, in the past year or so, it really hit me, and I'm just like, holy crap, this is a great album. In my point of view, this is like the Death signature sound. Chuck Schuldiner is at his prime from this album to the last, basically. Spiritual Healing, S tier, it's fantastic. I love it to death. That's a terrible pun. Cut that out.
Spiritual Healing. I also did not really know about this album before diving into their discography, but when I got into their discography, I found myself in love with it. I know I said I went back to Leprosy probably second most, but honestly this one is probably like right there. Like I go back to Scream Bloody Gore the most. Leprosy and Spiritual Healing are like next that I am like going back to. I was having it on the fence a little bit between S and A, but I think I am gonna go with S, and we'll say right under Leprosy, but I'm gonna say that those two albums are basically tied for me.
So next up we have Human. This album was honestly probably my least listened to since I got into Death. High school me just never really got into Human. Again, the same thing with like Spiritual Healing. Really got into it in the past year, Great ones on here. I know we haven't really named tracks so far. I haven't listened to these in like over a week now. I remember Cosmic Sea standing out to me a lot. But yeah, it was really cool. I really like this album. Part of me really wants to put this in S, but I'm actually gonna put it in at the top of A. It's not the very first Death album I go back to listen to, but I've really enjoyed this album this past year, and so very solid album.
Again, I went through everything multiple times obviously for this video, but like before that hadn't really listened to or wasn't familiar with. For all these next ones, they don't quite stand out quite as much as the first 3 that we talked about. That being said, this is still a really good album and I do really enjoy it. I do think it is still going to be an A tier album for me.
Okay.
Where it falls on A, I am currently unsure. We'll have to see as we go through the rest, but I'm not sure right now, honestly, like where on A it
So
falls.
basically there's going to be a lot of footage cut out from this video. Do you know how much footage I had to cut out of the Rammstein because you're just sitting there going...
Why don't you just leave it in?
I want to put those in
people want to
here
see me
and
thinking.
these in there. No, nobody
People
wants to
just
see
wants
you
to
thinking.
People want to see me think.
Okay.
That's why they're here. That's why they subscribe to your channel, to watch me think.
Okay, I'm actually gonna make a change.
Ooh.
I'm actually gonna make a
He's
change.
making
I'm
a
gonna
change.
bump Scream Bloody Gore to A.
You are slightly
I'm
forgiven.
I'm thinking about it, and I'm
Aggressive.
just it may be sort of my least, but I'm thinking about like Chuck Shordino and the way he plays, the way he constructs songs. There's still a lot of really good leads in here, even though it's a little more chaotic compared to some of his later stuff here. There's some really catchy, solid leads in there. But anyway, all right, individual thought patterns. Honestly, this one is kind of intertwined with Scream Bloody Gore as my least favorite. I'm gonna put it above Scream Bloody Gore in A tier, but still really good album. There's a lot of good songs on it. Really good songs in here. Jealousy is one that stands out to me. But yeah, this is a really solid album. This entire tier list is just S&A.
We love Death so much that everything is S&A, and it's like really, really good. We love it all, but then our opinions on like where it stands is just completely different.
Yeah, I know. So the reason I initially put Scream Bloody Gore in B tiers because when I have a band where I pretty much place all their albums in the highest stuff, my least favorite of those albums, I just kind of feel like needs to go in B tier to kind of like a diverse video format kind of way, you know. A lot of good leads. I mean, it's Chuck Shordino. With individual thought patterns, you're going to get Chuck Shordino. I know there's other musicians. I'm a little less prepared for this video, to be quite honest. I'm sorry. What are your individual thoughts on the patterns?
My individual thoughts on the patterns
Yes.
are that the patterns are thoughts that are individual.
Genius!
But no, I like this one a lot too. I think I like this one more than you. For me, there are just more songs on this one that stand out to me than on Human. So I mean, Overactive Imagination, Jealousy, like you mentioned, Trapped in a Corner, Individual Thought Patterns, The Philosopher. Like, so for me, this is going in A tier above Human. I like it a little bit more.
It is unfortunate that they do have a short discography. Okay, so we are moving on. Symbolic. I'm just gonna put a warning out. This is going to be hard for me. The placement is easy. I'm just going to go ahead. Placement's easy. It's the very top of S tier. It's going to be hard for me to describe anything about this album without acting like a mindless fanboy. This is literally one of my favorite albums of all time. Symbolic was the first album that I got by Death. This was my introduction to Death. When I was started getting into the more extreme metal stuff, Symbolic was one of, if not the first death metal album I've ever heard. That says a lot right there.
Not just the band Death, but the genre.
The genre.
Metal, of which you are a huge fan of.
Yes. This is literally top 5 albums of all time for me. Okay, so this is the one that I actually was listening to today. I haven't touched on this so much because I kind of wanted to save it for this album. This man, Chuck Shordino, could write freaking melodies like no one else. His melodies are very close to Mashing Iron Maiden's. Like those melodies that just get stuck in your head. They sound so catchy. The guitar melodies, like you can listen to, obviously the title track. The songs are grouping together right now because it's an album to me, you know. I don't go back to individual songs, like I listen to the album. This album is just pure orgasm melodies. Like I said, like it's fantastic. Top 5 of my favorite albums ever. I love it to death. So yeah, it's really, really hard for me to kind of talk about this album. This is honestly one of those albums that I really used honestly twice in one sentence. I'm not here. I'm not into music theory and stuff, and I'm not that type of YouTuber that's gonna make like these dissection videos on albums or songs, but Symbolic is kind of the one that I want. Not that I would make any sense making it, but like I just love the album that much. I feel like I have a lot to say about it, but I don't have the skills or vocabulary to express that very well. Why the heck am I making these videos, you know? But it's just a great album. I need to get the fanboy out of Okay, we're gonna move on. Okay, what are your thoughts on Symbolic?
I also really love the album. Obviously, it wasn't my introduction to death. Like I said, Scream Bloody Gore was, so that's why that one's been at the top for me. That was like, I haven't gone back to it a ton, but I have listened to it at least 2 or 3 times through for this video.
Those are rookie numbers.
Yeah, I was gonna put it at the top of A, but after hearing you talk about it, I think I am gonna go back and re-listen. From what I can't put it any higher than that based off of so
top
far.
Of A.
I think I am gonna be going back and revisiting that one a little bit.
I will not murder you in your sleep tonight. This is acceptable.
I love the artwork on that one a lot too.
It's fantastic. When you say death, this is what I think of. Like obviously in terms of like cover art, Leprosy is a big one.
It's a really cool cover.
We are sadly moving on to the last album here. We've got this guy right here, which Sound of Perseverance always had one of the most intriguing covers for me. It took me a while to realize that this was like a mountain. Like I just saw that. I thought it was like a mouth or something, like some kind of like golem mouth. And it took me a while to realize that there were people just like climbing.
The first thing that I see is like a mountain, but also I feel it looks kind of like a reaper.
In terms of covers, this is probably my favorite. But yeah, The Sound of Perseverance is a fantastic album. Unfortunately, it is the final album in Death's discography. I'm not sure on like all the details. I don't know if Chuck Schuldiner was working on another album or if he had plans to keep going. I don't know what the plan was. This might have been the actual planned final album. Going in S tier for me. It's number 2. In some ways, it kind of does feel like a part 2 to Symbolic. Again, his leads and melodies are just absolutely mind-blowing. Ear candy. Candy for your ears. So yeah, what are your thoughts on The Sound of Perseverance?
So for me, this is actually the one I think I've gone back to the least. Again, that was one I hadn't really heard before going into it before this video and stuff. It's still obviously really good. Out of all their stuff, it always feels very consistent. I never felt like a super huge like dip in quality or anything. It was just that certain ones ended up being more memorable for me, I guess. And so with that being said, I am going to put it at the bottom of A. And again, hearing you talk about these, all these ones in A, I do want to kind of like visit more. Even though we love them and they're all A and S tier, I feel like they're almost opposite placements of each other.
Yeah, except for Spiritual Healing. That's the one that stayed S for
that one does
stay. Yeah, I mean, honestly, a part of me just wants to put all of them in S. This is one of my favorite bands. This was kind of a shorter one for me. In A tier, at the bottom, I got Scream Bloody Gore, Individual Thought Patterns, Leprosy, Human, and then in S tier, I got Spiritual Healing, Sound of Perseverance, and Symbolic, one of the greatest albums ever made. Do what I just did. Tell. You know, this is review time.
Review time. Sound of Perseverance, Human, Individual Thought Pattern, Symbolic, all in A tier. I love them, but I do want to kind of go back into them more and listen more, I guess, to them, because there's definitely some stuff that you talked about that I feel like I maybe like just didn't quite get there or didn't quite pick up on just yet. Ones that I just am absolutely in love with, go back to so much: Spiritual Healing, Leprosy, and Scream Bloody Gore.
Yeah, that was kind of cringe.
I'm not a death metal vocalist, my bad. I can't quite do it like he does. But
speaking of vocals, Chuck Schuldiner is quite unique. This was a time where the death metal genre was very new, and there was a lot of vocalists trying to find their way and stuff. Yeah. You had Cannibal Corpse, Chris Barnes on the first album. He was still really high and screechy. From Scream Bloody Gore to The Sound of Perseverance, like you said, of like things being consistent, the vocals were quite consistent throughout the discography. So I like that.
I know Death kind of gets credited with like kind of being the first for like death metal, right?
A lot.
So I wasn't sure like how much. If he is kind of the first, you can kind of tell that he's kind of laid the foundation for the gutturals, but he never actually like really went there fully himself.
Yeah. So that was a quick video. Tell us what you think of the Death tier list video done. If you're new, I am currently working towards a video once a month. I also do live streaming on both Twitch and YouTube. I have ADHD, so my content is kind of widespread. I do tier list videos, I do gaming videos, live streams and stuff, vinyl collection videos, comedy skits, short films. Go ahead and plug your stuff.
I do have a YouTube channel. I haven't really been active on there for a while because I work a lot. I'm going through a tattoo apprenticeship. I also have Instagram, and then I have like an art page Instagram too. It's Phil Cam's Art Journey, and that's where I do a lot of the tattoo stuff. So haven't been as active on like YouTube and stuff and streaming because of that. Yeah, still doing a lot of art stuff.
All links in the description. Thanks for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing. Leave a comment. Tell us your tier list as well. And hopefully see you in the next video. Have a good one.
And now, why don't we pull the plug?
You know what we're doing again? We gotta redo the death tier list. The puns were too cringe. The puns were too cringe. Literally, your pun at the very end ruined the entire video.
Oh, the why don't you pull the plug?
Saying, like, ending the video with pull the plug is like...
It's like you're ending the video,
Yeah,
you're pulling the plug, the video's
too
dead,
cringe,
it's
man.
over.
Yeah, you literally killed the video. We have to do it again.
But the video is about death.
I know, but we have to do it again because you pulled the plug on it. I don't know how you have this power, but it literally wiped the memory off my camera as soon as you gave that cringe pun.
It was that bad, huh?
I guess so.
We were talking about death, and I have the death shirt on. I just can't help but just pull plugs out.
Okay,
But
we're gonna
there's
try to
this
go
too.
into this. We're gonna try to go into this without judgment.
I pulled that plug. Maybe if I just pull the plug again, it'll fix it.
Alright, we're done.